What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu, Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a recent graduate of Christopher Newport University with a bachelor's in communication studies, a writer, also a podcaster who happens to have cerebral palsy. She was inspired to take action after seeing the continued social inequities faced by minority communities, especially people with disabilities. Please welcome Devon Wieters. Devon, welcome to the show.
Hello. I cannot believe I'm here. I just got the email yesterday and I had to read it twice to make sure I wasn't being punked. So it was an honor.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet. Well, it's an honor to have you here as well. We're super excited to have this conversation with you, and you share because I'm sure like label free probably hits a chord with you, especially when you talk about social inequities with people with disabilities. So I'm excited to hear your journey on how you deal with that and what that means to you.
Well, honestly, there's so many preconceptions about people with disabilities, and the most annoying one by far is that all people with physical disabilities have mental disabilities as well. I don't know how that came about. Well, I can speculate, but we don't have that kind of time because that would take us 5 hours. But that is annoying, and that is something that existed in the 1950s and still exists today. So it's kind of hard navigating in a society that's tilted toward able-bodied people, and no shade to able-bodied people. I mean, I love able-bodied people. Able-bodied people help me, so I would have a pretty boring life if I hated able-bodied people, but it's kind of tilted toward able-bodied people, and so it's kind of hard to navigate.
How was it getting your bachelor's in communication studies? Was that difficult for you to navigate that, or how were you treated when you went to school?
We only had one kind of not good professor, and it was only for an 8-week class. But other than that, I mean, I felt like it was level. I mean, they provided all the accommodations I needed without any fuss at all, and they were awesome. So I'm grateful that went well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been one personally, this is how I was raised and how I am, like, just my personality, that I don't judge anyone, and I love everyone, and I love to highlight their strengths. And so, I used to volunteer somewhere where they were children, very small children that had severe disabilities, and I loved going there and reading to them and feeding them and just loving on them, because I feel like everybody deserves love.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how many preconceived notions there are, and if people would just be around a person with a disability for 5 minutes, they'd be like, "Oh, she's just like me."
Yeah. Yeah, a lot smarter than people think. Is that one of the preconceived notions that most able-bodied people have of people with disabilities?
Yes, and I'm not saying we're all geniuses either,
Right.
but I mean, and some people with physical disabilities do have mental disabilities as well, but it's just the automatic assumption. That's what gets to me. We were at a mall one time and we were at this kiosk, and the lady leans over and goes, "Does she know his name?" And I'm like, "Okay, all right."
So do you ignore that, or how do you handle that?
Well, first of all, I didn't even hear what she said because she said it to my aide, but I could tell she was kind of talking down to me. So I was like, "Oh, I practice 3 colleges," kind of just very conversational. And she's like, "Oh, okay, you're good."
What would you like people to know when they come across, people with disabilities? What was one thing that you would like everybody to know on the face of the planet?
First of all, don't call them inspirational unless they do something that is truly inspirational. Like if they climb Mount Everest, okay, you can call them inspirational. But if they're at the grocery store, don't call them inspirational.
Oh, I like that. Why do you say that?
Because I was talking with Julie on the phone, and she apparently has her sister has a disability,
Yes. Mhm.
and we were talking about inspiration porn and how able-bodied people often use us to get like their inspiration for the day, and they'll come up to us at like a grocery store and be like, "You're so inspirational." I'm like, my only objective is to buy groceries. Like that's it. So
I could see where that would be kind of annoying, like I can understand that.
yes, and then I try not to correct people too much on that because I know they mean well, but it's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, well, yeah, I get it. Why do you want a career in the entertainment industry? I like this question. So you have goals to be in the entertainment industry?
So I am gonna go down a rabbit hole here.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else watches Survivor still, but I've been watching Survivor for literally 20 years
Oh, wow.
since I was 8 years old, and almost as long as the show's been on. And the first time I saw Jeff Probst, the host and now the showrunner, um, now host and showrunner,
Yeah.
in his blue button down and khaki shorts, I'm like, I want to do that. And so, uh, there it is. The entertainment industry it is.
So you have a podcast though yourself. What is your podcast called?
Real with it, inclusion and more. We do DEI, but we don't do political stuff. So you're not going to hear all of the politics of it.
Good.
Um, and yeah, people can listen to it on YouTube or wherever they get their podcasts. And please bear with us because I'm the only one working for me right now because I'm making no money off this. And as of right now, I hope to be after
Yeah.
this. But I'm the only one working for me. So please bear with us if our website has issues or anything. So
Completely understand. I was the only one working for myself for a very long time, so it takes time to get to that level. So, do you have people guests on your show?
yes.
And what do you talk? I mean, besides inclusion, what kind of guests do you have on your show?
I mean, everybody from we had a non-binary guy a couple of weeks ago.
Woo.
We had Aaron Moriarty from CBS News
Oh, wow.
talking about a man that I believe was wrongfully convicted and of murder in Florida, and I'm going to get to that at the end. So remind me.
Okay.
Um, we've had next week is Sherry Gone, and if you don't know who Sherry Gone is, she was an inspiring principal that was featured on Ellen several times.
Wow.
So all those kind of guests.
That's amazing. So, it's somebody from the news. How'd you manage to get that?
Okay, so the story is the, and we'll get to the whole case in a minute, but the Supreme Court denied to hear this man's case.
Okay.
And his conviction is just appalling. Again, we'll get to the details. And I was like, I have to do whatever I can to help this guy now that all of his legal appeals have been exhausted. So I was like, I have a podcast. I wonder if Erin would talk to me. And I was like, she's not going to publicly give out her email. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I searched Erin Moriarty email and one popped up. I put it in. I sent the email. Came back as invalid email. I'm like, well, at least I tried. And then I was like, wait, there was another one in there.
Yeah.
Let me put that one in just so I can make sure I did everything I could. And lo and behold, she got back to me and we've been in touch about the case and we're still in touch about the case. And
That's
she keeps
amazing.
me updated and
Good
yeah.
for you. And so does she have the same belief as you on the case? I don't know anything. Like, do you want to share this?
She can't really say that she does because she's a journalist,
Right.
but she does. I'm not speaking for her, but I think that she does because
Right.
she's very, very, very passionate about the
Sure.
case.
Sure. And so who is this man that was wrongfully accused? Share with us.
His name is Crossley Green. I have a whole page dedicated to him on my website. If you go to realwithit.com/Crossley Green case, you can watch the whole 48 hours episode, the
Okay.
updated 48 hours episode, and everything. He was convicted after a guy named Charles Chiplin was murdered. He was murdered in an orange grove, and he was with his ex-girlfriend that night. And the ex-girlfriend claimed that a black assailant, and mind you, this ex-girlfriend was jealous that he was seeing another woman, right?
Okay.
So, and the ex-girlfriend claims that a black assailant came up on them and with one hand tied behind his back, drove them to somewhere else in the orange grove. I forgot what the exact story was, but drove them somewhere else in the orange grove, then pushed them out of the truck, then Chip, with his hands tied behind his back, somehow managed to get a hold of the gun, but then this guy shot him.
Okay.
So and there's no DNA on the truck that they were supposed to be driving.
Oh, wow.
Except for a hair that belonged to his brother, but his brother used to be friends with the guy that sold the truck, so he drove it.
Sure.
And so there was no DNA evidence. The ex-girlfriend's hands were never swapped for gunshot residue or DNA.
Yeah.
The two white police detectives that came on the scene that night said, "We think the ex-girlfriend did it." And we're not saying she did it.
Right.
We're just saying that they thought she did it. And
Yeah.
they basically just ignored him and arrested this guy after he was picked out of a lineup where his picture was smaller and darker than everybody else's. So if you wanted to frame somebody, that picture would stick out in your mind. So
Yeah.
you'd
Sure.
pick him.
Sure.
And so he got convicted based solely off the ex-girlfriend's testimony, and he's been in prison ever since. Minus 2 years for conditional release, pending appeal because of COVID.
Sure.
But
Have you talked to him? Have you visited him?
I haven't visited him because my folks, I love them, but they are there for security purposes. Like they're like, but his cellmate might not. But I have sent a letter to him through Aaron,
Okay.
journalist,
Yeah.
and I'm waiting on a response back.
I love it. Good for you. It's nice it's great to see someone passionate about fighting for someone that they feel is innocent.
Yes, and this guy's evidence of innocence is just overwhelming. So,
Wow, amazing. So you're a host of your show, and so now your dream is to be a host of a TV show?
producer. I'm not sure about who, but at least producer.
A producer of a TV show?
Yeah. So,
Like a Survivor type of like a game show.
yeah, my dream is to work for Jeff Probst. So
I
So-
love it.
whenever he's on, like if you need an extra person to do anything, I'm good.
You're up for it. So you're a writer as well. What do you write?
I haven't written in a while, to be honest, but I usually write blog posts about whatever's on my mind, and we do. This doesn't involve much creative writing, but we post a blog every time a new podcast is up,
Yeah.
almost every time, so that more people can find it. So that's basically the.
I love it. And now I'm loving this t-shirt you're wearing. It says innovate, hire, and include. Why are you wearing this shirt?
Well, because back down the Survivor rabbit hole again. On Survivor, not this past season, but the season before that, they had a girl with a prosthetic leg. And she was the first one above the knee amputee to compete on the show, and
Wow.
she kicks the major butt.
That's
And
amazing.
they also had a guy with CP that kicks the major butt. So I got this shirt made celebration of that. So
You had it made?
yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. I love it. So, what else would you like to share with my audience in regards to someone like yourself doing what you're doing and wanting to be treated a certain way?
Um honestly, they should go investigate their Medicaid waivers and how they're being run. And for
Okay.
those of you that don't know what Medicaid waivers are, they are supposedly there to provide assistance for people with disabilities who need caregivers, medical equipment, any number of things. But they're basically just there for decoration because you don't get anything. So that doesn't take about 15 years to get.
Wow.
So, for sure.
That's terrible.
And I'm getting stuff faster comparatively just because of some stuff we don't have time to get into. But honestly, they just did an intake with a client that has been waiting 20 years to get on it.
That's awful. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, are you
So,
advocating for that as well? Is that something else that you're
I mean, n- n- yes and no. Like, not as much as the other stuff
Yeah.
because Medicaid makes me enraged. So I try not to get into that. But folks can go to the arc of and then their state. So Google the arc of wherever you live,
Okay.
and they do a. I don't know much, but they apparently do a lot to help them.
Okay.
So I'm going to
Interesting. Okay.
try,
All right.
try to get into that.
Okay. Very good, Devon. Where can people find you, connect with you, and listen to your show?
They can go to realwithit.com.
Okay.
Again, if you are on a Safari browser, it may not come up. But if you
Okay.
go to Chrome or Firefox, or it will come up. I don't know. I need. I was joking. I need an intern because I've been trying to get this website straight for 5 days, and because we were rebuilding it.
Okay.
So, but I think it's straight now. So you can go to realwithit.com.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work on Safari, it will work on another browser.
Okay.
Uh, and there you have all the links where you can follow me on social media, subscribe on your favorite platform,
Okay. Perfect.
all of that stuff.
I,
And all of my social media is Real With It Pod. I'm not on Twitter, but I'm on pretty much everything else, like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Very cool. You guys, I'm going to put those links in the show notes. So go ahead and go give her a follow on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Go check out her podcast, Wheel With It, on your favorite podcatcher, and go support this incredible young woman right here who's breaking barriers and being very innovative in how she's going after her dreams. Devon, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Oh gosh. I'm always bad at these questions. I would say treat people with disabilities as if they didn't have a disability, like a normal human being. That's what I would say.
I love that. Devon, thank you so much for doing what you do. You are just incredible. I love how passionate you are about things that you believe in. I think that's an amazing testament to who you are, and keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to be following your show and supporting you, and sending my audience to follow you as well.
Thank you. And one more thing, if I
Yes.
may add.
Yes.
Please, if you believe that Crossley Green is innocent like I do, after you read up on the case, please write to Ron or Casey DeSantis because our only option is clemency or parole. So we need all the help we can get.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for that plug. I'll put that in the show notes, you guys. So go ahead. If you believe that this gentleman is innocent, go right to the governor of Florida and get him some help. Devon, this has been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to connect with you again. And thank you for all that you do.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.